which is meant for handle committees and mediation committees. So another point that I will ask both the leadership of this House, both the majority and minority side, to make sure that in this budget we have resources for the committees. Actually, committee work is almost stalling because of lack of resources. So with these many remarks, I want to ask my brother, Senator Dr. Mboni Karware, to second this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to congratulate the mover of the motion and remind him that because he has taken this chance to recommend various accolades for distinguished members in this House, he should also remember that I deserve a bigger medal than CBS. I cannot be at the same level like my sister Agnes Kavindu. For the obvious reasons. Mr. Speaker, I therefore rise to second this very important motion on a day when, Mr. Speaker, I think the whole country is happy. Kenya is happy because if there is one area, Mr. Speaker, where all Kenyans are in agreement, is that the real measure, the real indicator of the new constitution was the principle of devolution. Mr. Speaker, according to our national anthem, we are supposed to build this country together. And as we build the country together, Mr. Speaker, our national anthem envisages shared glory. Mr. Speaker, I have seen 20 budgets in my life as a parliamentarian in this country. And in all these 20 budgets, there is skewed allocation of development funds. The country never moves together. It is only through devolution that we see an attempt for the country to move together. I'm happy that the National Assembly, for the first time, led by the leader of the minority, Apio Andai, stood with this Senate when the figure of 415 went to that House. And also during our mediation, several members of the National Assembly also stood with this Senate. The country is now coming of age. People are starting to appreciate the role of devolution. Mr. Speaker, in 2013, when we were debating from the garage at KICC, Mr. Speaker, at that time, you are a young lawyer. You had just won your seat as the governor of Kilifi.
Senator Boni.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order before I address the Senator?
Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator Boni Alwale to want to bargain for whatever he's asking for and saying that we are not in the same level, is quoting me, is quoting you, and yet we are in the same level in the Senate working together?
Senator Boni, just stick to seconding this motion.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
just proceed to second the motion.
Mr. Speaker, there's something called stagecraft.
Just proceed to second the motion, Senator
Yes,
Boni.
which is exactly what I'm doing.
Please take my advice, because you may need it in the next few minutes.
Thank you. You know, this is a very unique motion, Mr. Speaker. If the Speaker was to be offended and he was to throw me out, you would create a serious crisis in the country, because then this motion would collapse. So today, I'm going to, I'm going to enjoy my space. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was saying that in 2013, honorable members, shareable fund revenue was only 210 billion shillings. 5 years later, it came to 302 billion shillings. And 5 years subsequently, it came to 370. Last year, you'll remember, Mr. Speaker, it grew up to 385.4 billion, and Senator Osotsi and Senator Sifuna, Mr. Speaker, I want to report them to this House. They have never missed a chance in Luyaland to go at my throat and say that I did not want more money to be brought. Mr. Speaker, I would have wanted more money to be brought last year, but last year was unique. We are all men and women of this country. We were coming out of the post-corona recession. Mr. Speaker, we had the problem of war and conflict in Ukraine. And Mr. Speaker, the so-called handshake government had mismanaged the national treasury. But now that, Mr. Speaker, things have come back to normal. The things have now come to normal, Mr. Speaker. You can see not only the two sides of this House, but even the two houses of Parliament are united in the need for us to take more money to counties. Mr. Speaker, I therefore want to use this opportunity to congratulate you, Speaker Wetangula, and the members of your houses for this great industry. Which brings me to my third point. My third point is that the Bible teaches us that to those whom more is given, more is expected. We have given the governors more money. And in the same bill of division, we have given the president more money. We would like the governors, 47 of them, to humble themselves. This is not their money, and open themselves up and submit themselves to oversight. Similarly, I want to appeal to the National Assembly, because we also left a fortune for the national government, to also step up their game. They should not be seen even for one day to be an appendage of the executive. The National Assembly must oversight the national executive. And for this to be possible, Mr. Speaker, there's been a bit of talk, tussle, and confusion over the oversight fund. This is the time for us to make sure that we not only operationalize the oversight fund, but we also address the concerns by the nominated members of Parliament. What is due to them, it be unlocked, Mr. Speaker, or President. It be unlocked, Mr. Speaker, so that our nominated members of this House can also play their constitutional role of oversight. I would like nominated members of this House to also be innovative. You should go and think on the structure of oversight that you want to conduct. When you ask the senator of Nandi, you ask the senator of Meru, what he wants to do in his oversight is very easy. Order. You learn how to debate. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boni, if you need any protection, seek it from the chair.
Mr. Chairman, sir, I beg you to protect me from the young senator from Nyandarua.
Senator for Nyandarua, you don't shout at a member who is contributing. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was saying this need for nominated senators, this confusion over the oversight fund should end. as we support the fact that this money should be given to nominated senators, I would like you to be innovative. The elected senators know.
Senator Gloria, if you need to catch the speaker's eye, you don't shout. I do not have your name indicated here for intervention. Continue pressing until I see you on my dashboard. Proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm emphasizing the fact that the elected senators know where they are going to focus during oversight. It's important that nominated senators, you also tell us exactly how you want to tailor your oversight. Probably you want to tailor your oversight on issues of the disabled, on issues of the women.
Senator Boni, there is a point of information from Senator Gloria. Would you wish to be informed by the Honorable Senator?
Mr. Speaker, because she's very knowledgeable, I want to plead with you, she be given a chance to speak after me so that she informs me during her time.
What is the point of order, Senator Eddie Okech?
Mr. Speaker, I'm raising a point of order to restricting debates. Mr. Speaker, unless I did not hear the motion that was moved here, Mr. Speaker, the wonderful senator of Meru, a serious member of the Jurinjeke community, got up here and gave us a very wonderful report on the mediation that was done yesterday and through that we have worked hard for, which the senator for Kakamega was a member. He's been asked to second that motion. Mr. Speaker, where is the issue of oversight fund coming from in this motion, Mr. Speaker? We have got a lot of things to discuss to be able to enhance that functional element of vertical sharing of revenue, Mr. Speaker, that I thought that the government whip in the Senate would understand how important this airtime is to dispense on that issue. Can you help, Mr. Speaker, that you restrict him to be able to focus on the motion at hand and not put things that are not in this particular motion, Mr. Speaker? They are not relevant at all. It's not relevant to us. We can discuss it. It's important for some other time, but this motion is equally important. You should not buy time from it so that you discuss the other things that you have got with the women senators in the House. You can discuss those later. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Eddie, I waited to hear under what standing order you're raising a point of order. And having failed to cite the particular standing order, your point of order stands as a nullity. However, the senator for the senator for Kakamega, the rule of relevance is a rule that you're very much aware. And therefore, as you second this motion, abide by that rule. Proceed and conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if the people of Migori will hear and record that the senator of Migori doesn't know the role of oversight on the money that we are taking to Migori, he'll be lucky if after 5 years they'll still be having confidence in him. Mr. Speaker, as we go to oversight, these billions of shillings that we are taking to counties, let us be serious. Because today, in a number of counties, governors have created an unlawful, unconstitutional office for their wives, which they call the office of the First Lady. I challenge members of this House and encourage you to go and read the advisory opinion by the respected former Attorney General, Professor Kidu Migai, when he was asked to give his opinion on the relevance of the office of the First Lady of the President. If you read it, then you will understand why this Senate should never allow a budget for these offices of the First Lady, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we speak today, there's so much wastage going on across our 47 counties, and I want to end by referring our 47 governors to a young boy, a boy who doesn't have university education, a boy who joined the army in Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, I don't support the unconstitutional means he used to change government, but he has taken the presidency of Burkina Faso, and instead of changing his cars, he has used that budget to buy tractors so that he can open up the agricultural sector of Burkina Faso. This aggrandizement that we are seeing governors involved in, if you see the kind of vehicles that fly around our counties, if only they could be patriotic, like His Excellency Captain Ibrahim Traoré, our counties would truly open up the agricultural potential. I support. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I second.
Honorable Senators, I now proceed to propose the question, which is that the Senate adopt the report of the Mediation Committee on the Division Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 14 of 2024, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, the 29th of May, 2024, and that pursuant to Article 113.2 of the Constitution and Standing Order 167.3 of the Senate, approve the mediated version of the bill. Yes, ML.
Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 111.1 to seek that we limit debate on this motion to 3 minutes and a maximum of 10 senators, 5 from each side.
Now, Honorable Senators, there are two options we can use to arrive to a consensus. We may debate this motion because that's a motion that has to go through the normal procedure of a motion before plenary, or we can strike a consensus and avoid the kind of time wasted on debating this motion. Should we therefore adopt the 3 minutes as proposed by the majority leader?
Yes. 3 is enough.
3 is okay.
You're debating a mediated report.
I mean, you are a member of the committee.
Honorable Senator, it's a matter we should agree. I don't need to take half an hour. Yes, Senator, let me seek some wisdom from 1 or 2 of our seniors. Proceed, Senator Enoch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, through you, I just want to appeal to members.
Just to note,
yes.
we are not debating the
yes,
motion,
yes, you're not
just finding a consensus.
Sure, that's true. That members should remember that this is not a debate of the division of revenue bill. We already debated and we already passed it. We are just approving the mediated version of the bill. So there will be no need to debate this bill again. 3 minutes should be enough. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Could I seek the wisdom of Captain Robert on this matter?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Since we had debated division of revenue at length and members...
Senator Robert, just give me a minute. What is your issue?
My motion was in 2 parts. It was 3 minutes and a maximum of 10 senators.
Let's deal. We're dealing with the first link.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since we debated division of revenue and every member had enough time to contribute, I agree with you that 3 minutes should be more than enough for us to be able to complete. Thank you.
So, honorable members, do we then go with 3 minutes? Thank you. Thank you so much. Now we are moving to the second limb with 10 senators, 5 drawn from each side. Approved? That's wonderful. So I will ask the majority leader and the minority leader to forward the list because I cannot go by this dashboard. So, Senator Wambua, you can go first.
Okay.
As the minority leader, forward the list to me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, is this a way that this list is going to be drawn? So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the team, really, for arriving at a figure that is agreeable.
Order, honorable senators. May Senator Wambua be heard in silence, please. Proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying that I want to congratulate the team for doing a good job. But I also want to challenge members that going forward, so that we avoid these mediations on this bill, one of the things that we should do immediately come back from recess is to push forward the agenda of unbundling devolved functions. Once these functions, Mr. Speaker, are costed, and we know how much it's going to cost to roll out these devolved functions in our counties, it will become a lot more easier to use an empirical formula to arrive at our division of revenue. Mr. Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to sound a warning to our governors, whatever they are, there are 47 of them, that it takes time, it takes resources, it takes intellect to push these amounts of money to the counties. When we come to do oversight on these funds, we do not want to hear governors crying that there is a witch hunt or they are being targeted for whatever reason. That the same house that has approved these amounts of money to go to the counties, then we should have really the space to carry out proper and objective oversight on these funds. The Speaker, with those remarks, I support.
Senator Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika, yangu ni kuunga mkono kwa ile timu tulichagua iende ikatutetee. Tumeona walienda wakafanya kazi nzuri, ingawa hizo pesa haijatosha, lakini wakati huu tumekubali. Yangu ni kuomba akaunti 47 magavana waweze kufanya kazi ile inafaa. Kwa hiyo naunga mkono ile kazi watafanya, itatusaidia. Na kitu kingine ningetaka kukosoa ni MPs kutoka leo wanjue kazi ya kuangalia vile gavana wanafanya kazi ni kazi ya maseneta, sio kazi ya MPs. Hiyo ingine ni kuunga mkono pia serikali iweze kutupa nguvu ya kupata pesa ambazo tutaweza kuangalia vile ukatuzi inafanya kazi masinani. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, naunga mkono, na wakati mwingine tunataka tuongezewe pesa iwe nyingi ndio ukatuzi iweze kuonekana katika masinani, kwa sababu tunajua mambo ya maji, mambo ya afya, mambo ya elimu na mambo ya kilimo ivai vile inafaa, kwa sababu tunajua hizo pesa pia inataka tuanjiri ambaye wale watu wataangalia mambo ya kilimo. Asante Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono na ni asante kwa wale watu walitutetea. Asante.
Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to also make my views on the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Bill. I want to start by congratulating the team that went to the mediation committee with the National Assembly for the good work they have done, at least to argue for 400
Senator
billion shillings.
Osotsi, would you wish to be informed by Senator Abbas?
Yes, he's my neighbor, he can inform me.
I'm not informing you, I'm informing the Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Just take your seat. You're totally out of order.
No, okay.
Proceed.
No, sorry. Okay.
Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I want to inform the House.
Speaker, you may approach the
I want to inform the House.
Well, we don't have those rules. Proceed, Senator Osotsi. Senator Bass, if you have anything to share, you may approach the chair. The chair is very friendly. You know that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I started by congratulating the team for agreeing on 400 billion shillings which really translates to an extra 15 billion shillings, because last year we passed 385 billion, and now we can say this Senate, since it came in this House, we have so far passed an additional 30 billion shillings to our county. So that is a huge amount of money that if you did simple arithmetic among the 47 counties, then it means each county, since we came here, has gotten 638 million shillings, which is a lot of money. Mr. Speaker, I also want to agree with the agreement within the committee that we will now push this to 500 billion shillings. I hope that happens, because when we get in there, we shall now start having this tussle. Mr. Speaker, if you do simple arithmetic on the 3.9 trillion shillings that the national government wants to put in the budget, that comes to 585 billion shillings, which is 185 billion shillings more than what we are approving today. So we look forward to this money going to our counties and being used very well to provide services and development to our people. But Mr. Speaker, even as we pass this money, we must also deal with the problem of late disbursement of funds to our counties, which is choking our counties, Mr. Speaker. If we have a 3-4 months delay, it really affects the planning in our counties and also exposes this money to corruption and to other challenges in the county. So I would wish the committees involved, like the committee led by my neighbor there, Senator Bass, and the finance, to look into this problem of delayed disbursement of funds. It would be a nice thing that we pass this money, and we also say 50% of this money should immediately go to the counties, and then the remaining balance to be dispersed monthly. That will make sense in most of our counties, but as the situation is, Mr. Speaker, when you have money delayed in our counties, you have more problems created, and you have this money being misappropriated because of the challenges that come with the delay. Mr. Speaker, I support the report. And
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Knowing that I'm the chair of the devolution, thank you for your consideration. Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, I want to support and commend our mediation committee. I think even our counterparts in the National Assembly have actually seen that we can stand on our own and we can move things on. Honorable Speaker, actually, as we increase the money to 400 billion, what is happening in the county is very unfortunate. Honorable Speaker, yesterday we were with the COP, considering some of the accounts in Garissa, and we were shocked to listen to hear that one county has 300 accounts, commercial accounts. 300, only one county. So you wonder, where is all these accounts going to? What kind of money are they using to open all these accounts? So I think it's the honors of this House, and it's our responsibility that we can fight for the counties, but we must also fight to oversee the counties so that this money can be used appropriately. As it is, there's a lot of seepage, there's a lot of misuse, there's no priorities. So I think I'll request my colleagues that this time around we must be serious. One other thing, Honorable Speaker, there's so many pending bills, and these pending bills come because of changing times of the assumption of offices. The treasury guys and the former governor, there is no accountability. Money is actually stolen right and right because they don't care whether money is paid or not because they're living in the offices. So I think we need also to come with a bill to at least to safeguard the resources of the counties at times of assumption of offices. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Senator Eddy.
Mr. Speaker, within those 3 minutes, I just wanted to say thank you to the House for sending us to this mediation committee. And Mr. Speaker, we had a very bad experience yesterday. I'm never in the I'm never in the habit of disrespecting the speaker and the chair there, Mr. Speaker. But we had a situation whereby one member got up and disparaged the committee that actually worked very hard to mediate for this, and even indicated to the public that we as senators had failed to fight for what he thinks that was okay to the counties. I want to actually emphasize that this committee worked very hard to actually move. That was Senator Cherargei. And it's unanswered. I'll bring that complaint officially to you, Mr. Speaker. It put me in a very bad situation with the Speaker at that time, Speaker Hilary Sigei. And I want to say that I'm sorry if he felt like I disrespected him, because I really honor your chair, Mr. Speaker. But I want to say that when we send mediation committees, members to mediation committees, it's a lot of work. And they need to be appreciated, because the Council of Governors had actually given up at 391 billion. For these members to go and push until we got to 400 billion, they did an excellent job, Mr. Speaker. This is what I wanted to clarify, that we worked hard, we got to 400 billion mark, and we added counties more than 15 billion, Mr. Speaker. And I want to advise those who will go to this mediation in the future that actually the law does advise and support you that if we did not get to a point where we could have agreed, this country could have gone to a shutdown. Because advisory opinion of the Supreme Court, number 3 of 2019, does say that there is no way the National Assembly can proceed to go to appropriation or even finance bill without us passing this particular DORA bill. So whenever you go to mediation, feel armed that actually the law supports you, that they cannot force our hands to what the law doesn't support. So next time anybody goes to the mediation bill, we should be armed with the instruments of the law. We did very well, and I support members that those functions that need to be enhanced to make sure that money goes to counties are what we need to fight on going forward, because counties do not have opportunity to borrow money like the national government should they get stuck with the budgeting that we did. We must support that all monies must go to county. And Mr. Speaker, the last thing that I wanted to say just in 1 second, because it's important, Mr. Speaker, that's 30 seconds.
You have a minute.
Yes. Just in 1 second, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to say that the next fight that we must do is that the National Assembly is very slow in terms of auditing financial reports.
Your time is up, Senator. Senator Veronica.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, is to commend the team, the mediation team that has done this mediation, Honorable Speaker. One of the things that we can now clearly state to the National Assembly and to the Senate is that bills that require mediation can be mediated in very few days, and solutions can be found. It's just the goodwill that is required between the two entities of Parliament to be able to ensure that all mediations are not failing, Honorable Speaker. And when we look at the Division of Revenue Bill, Honorable Speaker, this is one bill that I would call it's technical, but it's also very procedural, because it's a bill that needs to be discussed now and again and during every financial year. So, Mr. Speaker, the trend that has been set now by this mediation team speaks to the fact that we should not be having hiccups, or we should not be having any roadblocks towards mediation and settlement of issues that are just obvious and issues that should be resolved. I know Senate was pushing for 415 billion, Honorable Speaker, and we have seen that at least we have an additional 15 billion to the projected estimate of 391 billion shillings that the National Assembly had projected in the Division of Revenue Bill. So the revised version shows that actually more resources can be committed to the counties. It also shows that Senate is very dedicated and committed to ensuring that devolution succeeds, Honorable Speaker, and that counties are having more resources. We have seen the exposure counties have gone through during emergency, during the flooding, during the situations that have occurred, emergency situations that have occurred in the nation. And it's clear, Honorable Speaker, that more resources should now be sent towards the county, an affirmation to devolution, affirmation to transformation of the lives of the people, so that, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans can come to a point of appreciating that devolution was intended to improve the lives of the people. I want to say it's a very good thing that the mediation team has done. They should share their notes with any other mediation team, because, Honorable Speaker, you know there are many bills on your desk between your office and the National Assembly which you require this mediation. And the delay and the clogging that has happened, especially when Senate bills are sent to National Assembly, it means now that should be unclogged, Honorable Speaker. So put in more mediation teams. Those bills that have not been agreed upon, let's confidently put mediation teams, give them timelines.
Senator Ogola.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the mediation committee's report and to congratulate them from the word go. Honorable Speaker, the committee has made the Senate proud because that is a major function of the Senate. Honorable Speaker, there are two levels of government as spelled out, and there would be no reason why the counties would not be granted the required amount of monies to perform their duties. Honorable Speaker, I was not initially very happy about the figure of 400 billion.1. I intended to we go as a Senate with the 415 billion that was initially proposed in this House. And Honorable Speaker, it is because of the functions that the counties perform. In deciding which functions the counties were going to perform, Kenyans were very clear that they wanted key functions like health, water, lands, agriculture, and Honorable Speaker, to perform some of these functions to the expectations of our people require money. Honorable Speaker, just the other day, this country, we had serious issues of floods. And everywhere else, we saw all Kenyans asking for what governors were doing. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this, the negotiated amount, and we are only asking that more funds be channeled to counties in the future. Honorable Speaker, there's a lot of duplication of function. Take the function of health, Honorable Speaker. The primary health care is still, some of this primary health care function is still being held by the Ministry of Health at the headquarters. And yet, this is primarily a function of county governments. If these funds that they are holding for primary health care activities are taken down, then, Honorable Speaker, we'll be getting more money to the counties. Honorable Speaker, look at the function of agriculture. We are here every day struggling about lack of extension officers at the counties because that would boost the production of food. And it would be a benefit to our people because there'll be more food production and there'll be more food at the counties. Honorable Speaker, I support the mediation committee, the figure that they've been able to achieve. Honorable Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Senator Wakoli.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa nichukue muda mfupi sana, dakika 2 hivi na moja itakayobaki ni mzawadi Senator Governor Mandago aweze vile vile kutaja yake. Kwa kifupi Mheshimiwa Spika, bilioni 400 Mheshimiwa Spika si pesa kidogo. Mara nyingi tunapouliza maswali magavana wengine upandwa na hasira na jazba na kupinga maseneta kufuatilia jinsi fedha hizi zinafanya kazi. Mheshimiwa Spika, lazima wajue na wanatusikiza sasa na watu katika kaunti tunazotoka kwamba Biblia inasema iwapo umepewa vingi lazima wajibikaji uwe wa hali ya juu, na sisi sasa tunajitolea kutoka sasa kimuhanga kuhakikisha kwamba wanaajibika kwa fedha tunazoleta. Lazima Mheshimiwa Spika, mabilioni haya yapewe vijana wetu kazi, walemavu na wanawake kazi, na iweze kuonekana katika vitabu vya hesabu. Mheshimiwa Spika, pesa tunaleta, lazima wanakandarasi, wanabiashara walipwe pesa zao kwa wakati unaostahili. Madeni ambayo tunayaona kila uchao, Mheshimiwa Spika, lazima yalipwe ili kaunti zetu ziweze kuonekana zinafanya kazi kwa mujibu wa katiba. Mheshimiwa Spika, juzi tumeona katika uchambuzi wa mdhibiti wa bajeti akisema kwamba baadhi ya magavana wana accounts katika benki zisizostajika, zisizoeleweka na hazijulikani zinafanya nini. Lazima waweze kuwajibika. Mheshimiwa Spika, asante, na mkaribisha Mheshimiwa Mandago dakika moja uweze kutaja maneno kwa wananchi wa Kenya. Karibu.
That 1 minute is almost gone. Okay.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just wanted to agree with what Senator Eddie has said. As members of the mediation team, it is not that we as senators would not want to have as much resources going to counties, but we must be reasonable to the performance of the economy and the current state. But let me also say, Honorable Speaker, that because of the current situation where we have governors in particular counties who have refused to even honor summons to Senate, like the governor for Isiolo, Honorable Speaker, where we have no single mortuary in the entire county, and the people of Isiolo are suffering going to Meru and other neighboring counties. Honorable Speaker, I think some of these funds in future, even as we as Senate fight to have resources increased to go to counties, we may consider channeling those funds through conditional allocation, so that it can go to specific programs that can be felt by the public and that can uplift the economies of our counties. Finally, Honorable Speaker, let me say that it is imperative upon governors to ensure that they pay pending bills, verified pending bills that are in their counties. Governments are perpetual, and they cannot know that during that period they cannot
Senator
pay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Your minute is over. Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by appreciating the work done by our colleagues. Although I do not support the report, I appreciate the work that they did. Mr. Speaker, I do not support this mediation report for the following reasons. Giving excuses that county governors are not using the money appropriately is not enough for the role that we play. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the 9 billion that we fought for, that eventually these county governments are going to be getting, that is peanuts, because the national government is notorious for coming up with projects that they want county governments to be able to fund. The projects are like these industrial parks, projects like community health workers, where the president just goes and tells governors, we will pay 50%, you need to come and pay 50%. Mr. Speaker, I completely disagree with the committee for having settled for an extra 9 billion. Mr. Speaker, when you give reasons and you say that county governments, the amount which is going to county governments is about 24%, that is very, very misleading, because the current accounts that we're looking at are accounts for 2020-2021. So absolutely, there's no way you can be able to argue that more money is going to counties. Mr. Speaker, if you look at all this IPPD, this payment system, they adjust automatically to inflation. Why is it that county government, the money that we send to county government, do not adjust automatically to inflation? So, Mr. Speaker, I think we need to be firmer. We need to be able to do what brought us here, which is to fight for more monies to be able to go to county governments. Mr. Speaker, we should not be in a rush to pass this because of Appropriations Act. I think it's about time that we study the decision by the Supreme Court
and define different Appropriations Act. If you go to the United States, there are 12 Appropriations Act. There are those which are mandatory, that when Congress is unable to agree, there are those that must pass for certain services to proceed. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, because of time, the committee, and I want to thank Senator Eddy for having developed a formula of what is discretional and non-discretional. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the housing levy, you know, that is non-discretional. If you look at the NSSF Security Fund, that is non-discretional. The only discretional funds which are being denied to 29 counties are the County Aggregation Industrial Park. What are we going to tell those counties? You come out and say that the policy is to be able to develop industrial parks across the country, and you deny 29 counties that money? Come on.
Your time is over, Honorable Senator. Senator Chute.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Wacha nichukue nafasi hii nishukuru komiti ambaye mimi pia nilikuwako kwa kufanya kazi mzuri sana. Mheshimiwa Spika, tulichukua nafasi masaa nyingi sana kukubaliana na upande hiyo ngine ya Parliament ya National Assembly kuhakikisha counties inapata pesa inahitajika. Mheshimiwa Spika, tulikuwa na bilioni 385 miaka iliyopita. Sisi kama komiti tumekaa masaa nyingi sana na tukakuja kukubaliana kwa pesa ambayo serikali pia inaweza kusaidia na counties, na tukakubaliana bilioni 400.1. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni mzuri watu ambayo counties wajue Senate wana support ugatuzi. Tunataka Senate, county ipate pesa ambayo inahitajika ili maendeleo ifanyike. Nikisema hayo, Mheshimiwa Spika, shida tuko nayo, counties zingine inakuwa na shida ya kutumia pesa vile inavyotakikana. Mheshimiwa Spika, counties zingine development iko katika 6%, ingine iko 10%. Mheshimiwa Spika, vile Senate inatafuta hiyo pesa, tungependa sana counties ichunge pesa na development isikuwe chini ya 30%. Mheshimiwa Spika, county kama Marsabit, Mheshimiwa Spika, tuko na shida kubwa sana. Pesa inafujwa, pesa inaibiwa, pesa inakuliwa. Senator akiuliza kuna shida katika county hiyo, governor anatuma watu kwa radio kwenda kusema kabila yake inakuwa targeted. Mheshimiwa Spika, shida ile kubwa tuko nayo counties ya Northern Kenya. Nilikuwa nasema county ya Waislamu, Senator Abbas akaniambia usiseme Senator ya Waislamu. Wacha niseme counties kutoka Northern Kenya. Wanaharibu, wanakula pesa na wanaumiza raia ambaye wangestahili kupata huduma katika hizo county. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningetaka Mheshimiwa Kindiki achunguze mambo inaendelea ndani ya Marsabit. Governor ya Marsabit anatuma wazee kwa radio. Wazee wanaenda wanasema kabila fulani wanakuwa targeted. Mheshimiwa Spika, hata unashangaa, sisi tunakaa masaa nyingi sana kutafuta pesa, counties wapate pesa. Pesa ikifika counties, wanakaa wanagawana kama family. Family hiyo, family hiyo, rafiki yangu hiyo. Hiyo pesa.
Your time is up, Senator Chute. Well, Senator Lominen has no power to help you in this regard. So, may the mover proceed to reply. Yes, the minority leader counseled later.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I really want to thank the senators who have contributed to this motion. And Mr. Speaker, since we have some business to transact, I really beg to reply. Thank you. Honorable Speaker, is it possible? They are asking me to continue talking. Is it possible?
No. You have already moved. Kindly take your seat. We're moving forward. All right. Now, Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the division bell for 5 minutes.
Division bell is currently on at the Senate this afternoon. And this division bell has been occasioned by the fact that the House has concluded the debate on the report of the Mediation Committee on the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 14 of the year 2024. And at this particular juncture, upon the conclusion of the division bell, the House will be considering the Houses of Parliament Bicameral Relations Bill, Senate Bills number 44 of the year 2023, as well as the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bills number 70 of the year 2023. The debates on these two bills is already concluded upon, and what remains is for a vote to be taken by the House in regards to these particular bills. The Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bills number 70 of the year 2023 is a bill that seeks to regulate the betting industry in the country. The bill proposes establishment of a regulatory authority to regulate gambling, as well as issue fresh licenses to betting entities in the country, as well as making sure that those who partake into the betting activities are people of age, that being 18 years and above. And according to the lawmakers, the regulation of the gambling industry will, so to speak, deal with cases of mental health in the country, owing to the mere fact that when gamblers lose, some of them do not know how to take the losses positively, and that has led to cases of increase in mental health in the country, as well as cases of suicide, especially among the youth. The other bill for division this afternoon is the Houses of Parliament bicameral relations National Assembly Bills number 44 of the year 2023. In the chamber this afternoon, the clerks are busy making sure that the House is properly curated, or in better terms, to ensure that the House has the numbers to undertake this particular vote this afternoon. And we will be waiting for that directive from the chair, or better, the speaker, this afternoon. Where we'll be handing you over for that vote to see how members of the Senate will be voting this afternoon in regards to these particular bills. The Houses of Parliament is a bill that seeks to guide the houses under the bicameral parliament in regards to the powers of each house, as well as the functions of the National Assembly, as well as the Senate. The Houses of Parliament bicameral bill, Bill number 44 of the year 2023, is a bill that seeks to give effect to the procedures relating to matters of bicameral nature between the Houses of Parliament, that being the National Assembly as well as the Senate, as contemplated in Chapter 8 of the Constitution of Kenya. A deeper look at the Houses of Parliament bicameral relations bill, National Assembly Bills number 44 of the year 2023. This particular bill seeks to give effect to Article 109, 110. Allow me to hand you over back to the chamber this afternoon.
Resume your seat, please. Honorable Senators, I put the question that the Senate adopts the reports of the Mediation Committee on the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 14 of 2024, laid on the table of Senate on Wednesday, 29th May 2024, and that pursuant to Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Orders 167(3) of Senate, approves the mediated version of the bill. We will vote electronically. Eddie, you can have you, Senator Eddie. Sergeant at Arms, check any card that is not attended to. Senators, withdraw your card and log back in. Log out and log back in. Minority Leader, log out. Sergeant at Arms, can you take out all the unattended cards? Honorable Senators, we are proceeding to vote. Please proceed to vote. Senators, have you voted? Senator Asige, I'm advised that you are voting for Mombasa delegation. They will bring to you a manual vote. Homa Bay is voting by delegation. Okay. Mandera, Senator Mariam, can you approach the clerks? Have you voted? Yes, Senator Asige, you'll be assisted. Just be patient. The clerk will assist you. Honorable Senators, resume your seats. Honorable Senators, the results of the division are out. Abstentions. Order. Senator Romenen, you are out of order. Can you resume your seat? Resume your seat. Resume your seat. Honorable Senators, these are the results of the division. Abstention 0, nay 0, ayes 32. The ayes have it. For the convenience of the House, we reorganize the order paper and request the clerk to call order number 15.
Order number 15, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 10 of 2024.
Can you draw the bar and open the doors, please?
Order number 15, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 10 of 2024. Second reading.
Senator Onyonka was to resume the debate. He had a balance of 7 minutes. He's not here. So I will call Senator Cherarike.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Sorry for this opportunity. From the onset, I am saying that, Madam Speaker, the National Assembly's Bill number 10 of 2024, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill 2024, I will only support on the condition that we do amendments. This bill, I know, is part of the larger proposed bills by the NADCO, Madam Speaker, and it is unfortunate that it didn't come out as some of us expected. And you know, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, you know, if they had allowed me to present my Solomonic wisdom in the NADCO process, Madam Speaker, we would have a better version. But now that it lacks some wisdom, I want to inject it briefly. So the Solomonico-Italel wisdom, Madam Speaker, and say a few things. One is that we should not be reactive to issues of elections and electoral laws. We have amended electoral laws until we have lost, Madam Speaker. You know, when we were growing up, Madam Speaker, for some of us who are at the bottom, you would wear a short until you get at, you are behind, Madam Speaker, two things like looks that torches. And your parents will do something on it, will patch it up. Some of us who grew up in village primary school, that short would be patched up until you cannot get the color of the short that initially was. This is what we have done to the electoral laws in this country. We always do it with the convenience of what we believe should be right. Madam Speaker, we should also avoid, we have all this country at ransom, Madam Speaker. For example, the people of Banisa in Wajir County, Madam Speaker, have not had an elected member of parliament after the death of their MP up to today, even in Tana River, Madam Speaker. An MCA, we have lost even, I think, in Kakamega, an MCA, we still have, Madam Speaker, a number of wards and constituencies that do not have elected leaders. And this, Madam Speaker, under the Constitution, it is under the Constitution, Madam Speaker, it is denying them the right to representation. Madam Speaker, can you protect me from the Senator of Nakuru who is giggling?
Senator Tabitha, can you just slow down the pace of that excitement?
Madam Speaker,
Senator Boni Halwale,
it
is in the interest of Senate proceedings that you resume your seat. Go back to your official seat.
Madam Speaker,
Senator Boni Halwale.
Madam Speaker, if you listen how Senator of Nakuru is giggling and the history of Senator Boni Khalwale, you can imagine. And you know he has a track record of finding a special heart in women. So, Madam Speaker, let me start with the issue of audit under the introduction of clause number 24A. Madam Speaker, I agree because we have been doing this. Let us audit an election after an election. But audit with a view of improving, Madam Speaker. And it shall be published and the report be submitted to Parliament through the jailer committees that we have. I think this is very important so that we know. And I know there have been arguments, let us open the server, to Fungue server. Some we were told it is in France. Others we were told there is Jose Carmaco. I'm sick, so that we put those stories and others of Abunuas to an end, of servers in France or Jose Carmaco is in somewhere, Madam Speaker. I think let us audit, and when the Parliament has considered the report, Madam Speaker, let it be made public. And I think I agree with this, Madam Speaker. This is also in the spirit of IPPG agreement of 1997, where all participants would come to the same place, Madam Speaker. Number two, Madam Speaker, on the limitation of electoral units. Madam Speaker, you know there are over 40 constituencies that are called protected, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, over these 40 constituencies, my colleague mentioned a number of them. One of them is Amisi, another is in Bura. I think one is in Vihiga. I don't know whether it's Vihiga constituency, Bura, and Kalole. Madam Speaker, over 40 are protected constituencies, Madam Speaker. And it is across the country, from what we call populous regions to non-populous regions, Madam Speaker. And you know, according to the population quota, a constituency that is defined as protected did not meet a threshold of 164,015 population as per 2019 census. I know the census of 2019 many people do not agree with. But at the end of the day, I agree with my brother who said in the morning that the population determines a lot of issues. Apart from voting, it determines allocation of resources. You have had a conversation of the revenue formula, Madam Speaker. We have just concluded the mediation version of the bill that came, the mediation version, where, Madam Speaker, the Senate and the National Assembly are mediated on 400 billion as opposed to 415 billion. I don't know who gave them the permission because we had mediated for 415 billion, but that is a story we'll write in our books, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, on a lighter note, I saw COG saying they have negotiated. I don't know where governors are in negotiations and appropriation of budget, Madam Speaker. The same energy and magismo, Madam Speaker, the governors are saying they have negotiated for 400 billion plus. We are not seeing even where that money we are sending is going, Madam Speaker. We must see development. Because when you talk about electoral units, you talk about population. You are talking about votes. You are talking about resource allocation, Madam Speaker. And that is why, Madam Speaker, it is always a big problem that we want to do, Madam Speaker.
Senator Chiradi, would you wish to be informed
on
by
revenue
Senator
formula?
Methu
On revenue formula?
Nyandarua County, whatever it is that he wants to inform you
if it is about revenue formula, I would be cautiously seeking his information. But he can inform me.
Senator Methu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Just for the benefit of my Vice Chair, registrator that is very respected in this House, when he speaks about what governors have been saying, some governors or the Council of Governors was saying that they have negotiated. And so sadly then, we even saw some of them thank the National Assembly for being magnanimous in ensuring that they get more money. They should be arrived to the fact that the National Assembly had proposed and had passed that they get only 391. The only people who have proven that they are supporting and pushing more money to devolution is the Senate. It's not IBEC, it's not the National Assembly, it's not anybody else, it's not even the National Treasury. It is only the Senate that passed and fought and sought to have more money pushed to the county, to the counties, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Methu. Senator Chiradi.
Madam Speaker, as the Bible says, as Jesus Christ grew in stature and wisdom, I'm impressed and I'm always surprised with the wisdom of the young senator as he grows in this house, Madam Speaker. And I'm happy that the information he has given is very up to the point, Madam Speaker. So I wouldn't add anything because I find it useful and Solomonic. But what we are demanding, Madam Speaker, because we are discussing about population, let the value of money of you and me, we want when we go to Muranga, we see the value of the money that we gave to the governor and county government. Same to Nandi, same to Kitui. I know Kitui, the senator has been really struggling to ensure the people of Canton Zweni, Kitui, all those places, Madam Speaker, get value for the money that they get, Madam Speaker, and we wish him well in his quest to become the governor, and I'm happy he's in good books with his party leader. Madam Speaker, number two, the issue, another challenge, what I see with this bill, is where National Assembly has become selfish. Everything they wanted to do it, they have just indicated National Assembly. The issue of electoral units, wards, are in counties. Constituencies are in counties. So when they want to exclude the Senate, when they are doing these processes, Madam Speaker, it's very unfortunate. And in fact, they say, the new clause 24B, they have said, the National Assembly shall, within 14 days of tabling of the report, revise preliminary report, consider the report and forward its recommendation to the Commission. Where is the role of, under Article 93, Madam Speaker, Parliament has been defined as both the Senate and the National Assembly. So why would you be, and you know, I want to agree with Senator Medhu. It is the biggest threat to the progress of Parliament and the Republic of Kenya is National Assembly. Because if they are not undermining devolution, they want to dislegislate the Senate. The other day, and governors must get this right, it is National Assembly who proposed 391 billion. It is Senate who said, let's give 415 billion. In fact, it is us who have pushed National Assembly and the mediated teams that went there to 400 billion, Madam Speaker. So when it comes also to legislation, they want to legislate the Senate out. But we are telling them that we are going nowhere. In fact, Madam Speaker, if today you are due census, there was a guy called Steadman, opinion poll, who used to put the party leader of my brother, Bishop Wambua, as the top. I don't know where that gentleman went. If you are to do Steadman opinion poll today, and to say, can you scrap National Assembly or the Senate? Kenyans will scrap National Assembly because they are continue to embarrass all of us in Parliament, Madam Speaker. And therefore, we cannot allow them to legislate us out of our work that we are elected under the Constitution, Madam Speaker. Number 4, Madam Speaker, on the issue of selection of panel. So, Madam Speaker, on the issue of protected constituencies, I expected the NADCO. And that is why I want to thank Senator Wambua, because at least he appeared before NADCO. Myself, I was denied to appear before NADCO, because I wanted to tell the NADCO to ensure the 40 constituencies, including ones in Vihiga County, must be protected. What happens if we pass the law? Where will the 40 constituencies go? I know Senator Mungatana has a protected constituency in these counties. I know in Northeastern, Madam Speaker. Where is the NADCO? And I wanted to be NADCO members in the House. Unfortunately, I can't see some of them. Where is the 40, who is the NADCO member? No, he was in the other one, before the real boys went in. Yeah, before the real boys went in. Madam Speaker, by partisan, Madam Speaker. The 40 protected constituencies in NADCO report, and you are a senior lawyer in this country. If we pass this bill, and that is why we must amend, what is the fate of 40 constituencies that have a right to be represented, Madam Speaker? People are crappling for more counties, like Kuria, Migori, they want a county. You go to Bungoma, they want a county. You go to Kitui, they want another county. If we are going to scrap off 40 protected constituencies, it will be fair, and we want to tell the NADCO, the people who did this report, that they did a lot of disservice to this country. And I don't fear to contradict myself, Madam Speaker. You know me very well. You know me, Madam Speaker. And you saw me over the weekend. You know me very well. Madam Speaker, the one on the selection panel, the one on commissioners, Number 5, we have now increased from 7 to 9 the selection panel, Madam Speaker. In this selection panel, I have seen that PSC, I agree with my brother Senator Utsosi in the morning about the PSC. Madam Speaker, we are being selfish because you are saying PSC itself does not even have capacity to run parliament. How can they be part of giving people to be part of selection panel, Madam Speaker? How can they be? They could not even defend our budget. Committees are almost collapsing, Madam Speaker. You are the chair of liaison, lamenting. How can parliament be the house of lamentations? The only lamentation we know is in the Bible. For us who are Christians, Madam Speaker, there is called a book of lamentation. Yani vitabu ya malilio. I don't know what you say in Kiswahili, Madam Speaker. So, maombolesi, let me borrow with your indulgence, Madam Speaker. PSC itself cannot run parliament. How can they have the wisdom to give selection panel? We should allow politicians to do their job. Let us retain on the selection panel, Madam Speaker, be made, Madam Speaker. For example, Madam Speaker, when you go to Bunge Towers, you wait for over 30 minutes to board a lift up to 25th floor. There is no network of your phone, Madam Speaker. Even the integrated security system is porous. If they cannot manage our security system within parliament and within even a lift, to manage a lift to go from ground floor to 25th floor where there is no network, what can you tell us, Madam Speaker? So this one, I don't know the wisdom, but I will bring an amendment so that the minority and majority parties, and also because you have sat in decision-making of a ruling political party, also these briefcase parties, they must be stopped. I agree they must be stopped, Madam Speaker. We have over 80 political parties. People are walking around with briefcase. And then when it comes to such serious matters, the parties that you have never known, sisi kwa sisi, wao kwa wao, yule kwa yule party, and they want to give the names, Madam Speaker. We must stop this, Madam Speaker. On the issue of ISPAC, Interreligious Council, I think it is very important, and I agree that it should have the face of Kenya, it should have gender parity, and I'm agreed that the current selection panel, Madam Speaker, should be given a chance. Because, Madam Speaker, if the current selection panel have not violated the law, the work that they have done, because they are using taxpayers' money, the current selection panel must be relooked at, Madam Speaker. On the issue of commission, I have seen it is 5, Madam Speaker, who will form a quorum. I have heard people saying Wafula Chebukati in the previous election was the only one making decisions. I don't believe so, Madam Speaker. I don't believe so, because us who are in Bomas, Wafula Chebukati, Madam Speaker, consulted with other commissioners. Cherera 4 behaved in bad faith, Madam Speaker. You cannot leave your workstation and go somewhere else and issue a press conference and say, Chair, even as we have chaired the committee, I'm happy there is the chair of CPIC here, seated here. When the decisions of a committee are made, it is the chair who communicates, Madam Speaker. So I don't want to see people blaming Wafula Chebukati. What we have agreed, and I've seen people saying, if the chairperson, Madam Speaker, in this bill, they have said if the chairperson of IEBC is missing, then it does not stop the business of the committee, of the commission. If somebody had kidnapped Wafula Chebukati, and this law was here, Madam Speaker, and we saw even in some of the interviews, Madam Speaker, what would have happened?
Senator Cherarige, Senator Utsosi would want to give you some information.
No information. Madam Speaker, no information. Please. My time is spent, Madam Speaker.
Continue, Senator.
If Wafula Chebukati had been kidnapped, where will be the Kenya now? We cannot allow this amendment from Azimio cannot fly through our faces. We must amend, Madam Speaker. If the chair is not there, the commission should not function. Finally, on technology, Madam Speaker, we must use technology up to the level we have confidence in it. But with the fact, Madam Speaker,
what is your point of order, Senator Utsosi?
Madam Speaker, I rise on standing order number 105, statement of fact. Senator Cherarige has stated the Azimio amendment. When we know that this bill before us is a product of NADICO, that Azimio was just one of the parties. Is he in order?
Yes. Cherarige, The point of order is in respect on how that bill has been presented and who originated the bill. It originates from the work of NADCO. Do you want to respond to your assertion of the Azimio amendment?
No, Madam Speaker, I can respond to Senator Otsosi in a funeral somewhere in Western in this coming weekend after
Senator Cherarigei, we are not in a
deliberations.
funeral in that place that you are imagining. Respond on the floor of this House.
Okay, Madam Speaker, well guided. What I'm saying, Azimio was part of it, so it's still part of the NADCO report. It is just saying Kenya Kwanza, Senator Onyonga said in the morning. So I'm just saying a fact that it already exists in the Standing Order 105. But I can still replace that NADCO stroke Azimio proposal because Kenyans are aware of the proposals that came from other factors. Madam Speaker, in conclusion on the aspect of technology, let us not overrate technology. I was in Brazil, Madam Speaker. Technology is always but we should be worried about hacking, Madam Speaker. And then number two, how many places have network in this country? Like Lokitang, somewhere, like in Namanga, Madam Speaker, is there a network? Like a place like Elwak in Mandera, Marsabit, there, Madam Speaker, are there networks? So let us be realistic that it can possible to use technology across the nation in terms of election. We should say let us use hybrid, both manual and technology, Madam Speaker, so that we are fair. We don't want to, Madam Speaker, you know every Kenyan has a right to vote. It is a universal suffrage. But if you introduce obstacles like technology, we'll disfranchise many Kenyans not to vote, Madam Speaker. And therefore, on the use of technology, I'm proposing let us use an hybrid system. Where the technology applies, so be it. Where the manual applies, so be it, Madam Speaker, so that we protect the integrity of elections, Madam Speaker. But I hope this will be the last amendment on election laws. We have amended, Madam Speaker, these election laws until it has lost value, Madam Speaker. We don't know even the origin of the first law in 2011, after the promulgation of Constitution of 2010. Madam Speaker, I will only support this amendment with an amendment. But as it is, I reject. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Cherarigei. Honorable Senators, before we proceed on to the next senator to contribute to this debate, I have a communication to make. Having reviewed the results of the division under Order 9 on the report of the Mediation Committee in the Division of Revenue Bill, National Bills number 14 of 2024, and due to technical system error, the results of the division was the ayes had 31, not 32, the nays 0, abstention 0, and this error we have checked and is being corrected under Standing Order 90, where if after an electronic or a roll call vote has been made, it's discovered that the number has been inaccurately reported or that an error has occurred in the names of the division list, that fact shall be reported to the Senate and the Speaker shall direct that the necessary corrections be made. That was brought to my attention by the clerk's desk, and I have directed that the necessary correction be made so that we have the accurate report. Thank you. Senator Oburu Oginga.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I don't want to be long on this. Mr. Speaker, first I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to just make a few general statements on elections. Mr. Speaker, an electoral process has gone through very long history in our country. Mr. Speaker, we used to have a system in this country where, Mr. Speaker, sir, Madam Speaker, where, Madam Speaker, the president was everything. President was the one who was budgeting for the Electoral Commission. The president is the one who was holding funds for them. Madam Speaker, the president was the one choosing the chair of the Electoral Commission. Madam Chair, it was also the same president who was determining the calendar of elections. Madam Chair, those days were very, very dark days. And therefore, we used to have a one-party system, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, through that one-party system, it was very, very torturous to particularly members of parliament. And Madam Speaker, I will recall that there is one time when through that one-party system, and I was a councillor in those days, Madam Speaker, I was a councillor in Kisumu municipality, and there was a committee of KANU which was called a disciplinary committee. And that committee, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, was very, very ruthless. If you were charged for any offense of having offended the government or having done some mistake to some leaders or disagreeing with the leader, you would be called to appear before that commission, before that committee of disciplinary in the morning. And Madam Speaker, if you appeared before that committee in the morning and somehow after interviewing you, they found you to be guilty, they would declare a verdict of guilt on you. And if they did that, Madam Speaker, that matter would be taken to Parliament the same afternoon. And if it was brought to Parliament the same afternoon, Madam Chair, what would happen to you was that the Speaker would declare your seat vacant, because the verdict of that disciplinary committee would be that you have been expelled from KANU. And once you have been expelled from KANU, and KANU was the only party, therefore, Madam Speaker, you need not have any other chance to go to any other party to contest. That was your end. So people used to go before that disciplinary committee and kneel and try to plead so that they would be exonerated, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, because if you were declared guilty, that was almost like the end of your life. It was the end of everything that you had planned in your whole life, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I recall one very powerful minister from Western Kenya appeared and was almost crying before that disciplinary committee, Madam Chair, because if that happened, your seat is declared vacant, it is taken to the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission would then declare that seat vacant and announce the date for the elections. The date for the elections would be maybe in a month's time, and within 1 month, Madam Speaker, I can tell you, there would be another member of parliament here, because KANU would only nominate one candidate for that seat, because KANU had discretion to nominate more than one candidate for one seat. But if they decided to nominate only one candidate, that one candidate will present his papers on the appointed date, and the returning officer was the DC. The DC will declare that the seat has been won unopposed, and but once it is declared unopposed, Madam Speaker, the seat there will be a new member of parliament before 1 month expires, Madam Speaker. And that would be the end of you, because there was no any other party. Madam Speaker, since those days, this country has gone through a revolution. It has gone through a revolution, through a lot of struggle. People even shed blood in order to get to where we are, Madam Speaker, and a lot of changes. When the new constitution came, Madam Speaker, it was like something like God sent. It was God sent because now those dates, those election dates, which the president used to tell us, I was in this parliament, Madam Speaker, when the president used to tell us that the date of election will be announced by him. It is a secret weapon. It is a secret weapon which he could use to, to deal with the opposition, whoever was trying to bring whatever issues. So, Madam Speaker, those days are long gone. We are now discussing a whole bill which now gives details, even a select committee to select the chairman of the Electoral Commission. This is a big revolution, Madam Speaker. I'm so happy that we have come to this stage where we are even talking of auditing elections. Going through a process of auditing the elections, Madam Speaker, which is something which was unheard of. This is something which I'm very, very pleased about, Madam Speaker. Even though we cannot have a perfect bill, Madam. The NADCO team sat, they went through the whole electoral process, they found out the weaknesses, they identified those weaknesses, and they tried their best to do improvements on them. I can see that we still have some of us who are still having some ideas on the improvements they still want to do on amendments, which is their right as per our constitution. They have a right to do amendments, but Madam Speaker, I hope that the amendments which will be made at the committee stage will not be those amendments which will dilute this bill and take us back again to some dictatorial regimes where we are going to go back again to some powers deciding who is going to be our chairman of the Electoral Commission, who is going to be the commissioners, and so on. Because now details have been made on how a selection committee will be selected, and I hope, Madam Speaker, that these improvements which have been suggested here will be for the good, and we shall never have a situation where we go back again to the situation of 2007, where people start fighting again.
Senator Oburu, would you like to be informed by Senator Mungatana?
Yes.
Okay, Senator Mungatana.
Madam Mungatana can.
I'm one of those people who always want to listen to the Honorable Dr. Oburu because he oozes a lot of history and wisdom. The information I wanted to pass to Honorable Senior is that the proposed amendments actually don't go towards diluting the NADCO report. The proposed amendment, Honorable Senior, they go towards making sure that any moves that are going to come, reports that are going to come, will come to both the National Assembly and the Senate. Because as it is, if you read the bill, we are legislating ourselves out of work, and we cannot allow that. So it is just the definitional aspects and the improvement on how we handle issues that are arising around those issues. For example, on the question of auditing, not auditing, but the question of limiting the boundaries delimitation. Imagine the way that law has come. It has excluded the Senate. They are reporting to National Assembly without us. So the JLAC have been able to pick up some of those things. And I wanted to persuade you, Honorable Senior, that you support those amendments. They are good for the Senate. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You can resume, Senator Oburu.
I appreciate the information given to me by my colleague with whom we have been friends for a long time here in this parliament. I appreciate the amendments, and I'm not saying I'm going to oppose the amendments as such, particularly when he mentions something which I'm concerned about, that the delimitation or the delineation of the boundaries will be taken to the National Assembly and then back to the committee or to the commission without coming to the Senate. Madam Speaker, I don't support that provision in the bill, or in the NADCO bill, Madam, and I hope that expanding it to include the Senate will enrich rather than dilute the bill. And Madam Speaker, I appreciate that quite a number of amendments which are being proposed are good, but I didn't like some of them which were being proposed by Senator Cherargei, which I thought were actually retrogressive, taking us back. But I don't want to, I did not stand here to criticize any senator. I just wanted to support the NADCO report and also support my colleagues who have contributed before me and who have suggested amendments to it. And Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mudigi, Alexander Munyi.
Asante Bi Speaker, yangu ni kuunga mkono mjadala ambaye inazungumzia mambo ya IEBC na commissioner na pia mambo ya mpaka, na ningeomba Bwana Bi Speaker, mambo yaangaliwe na njia ile inafaa. Wale watu watakuwa tumekubaliana kama ni commissioner kama tisha, waangalie mpaka vile watakuwa nafanya kazi ile inafaa. Kwa sababu Bi Speaker, nakumbuka wakati tulishauriwa kulikuwa na shinda ya malipo ya wale watu magari na wale walikuwa wamepatiwa kazi kandarasi ya kupepa wale watu walikuwa naenda kuangalia mambo ya kura. Na mpaka leo unakuta kaunti nyingi watu wengi wa kupata zile pesa. Hata nakumbuka tulikaa kama mwaka moja, nikuja nikasoma hiyo statement hapa na watu wengine wakaendelea kulipwa. Bi Speaker, hii mambo inafaa iangaliwe na njia ile inafaa, kwa sababu